Hi everyone, this is Lovely with a wellness vlog. I'm going to take this off since I'm in my car. And it's been a few weeks since I have done a vlog. And it's been a few weeks. It's been intense. I'm not actually sure what I'm going to talk about and I think part of the reason I haven't been on is because I've had so many things I've wanted to say, and then I felt completely overwhelmed to even think about creating a vlog and actually talking about these things. I've been talking a lot to friends and my support groups. Yeah, I think I'm too hot for this sweater to be on right now, so I'm gonna have to take it off and then get back to you in just a second. Whew, that's so much better. So you may be wondering, why am I in a vehicle traveling when we're supposed to be shelter in place? So I'll get that out of the way. I am traveling to my ex-partner's house because our daughter is there for the next couple of days, so we switch. And it's really hard for my partner to homeschool during their very stressful job. So since we are traveling as limited as possible in between our apartments, because we need to, we're limiting the exposure. And anyway, I'm heading over there to help my daughter with her schoolwork, since today's my first day of spring break. And I've been teaching at home now for, I think, 4 weeks. It was like mid-March, and now it's the third week in September, so maybe 3 weeks I've been teaching from home remotely. And I think the first thing that I want to talk about today is compassion. And in Brightline, we call it bunny slippers too, to just do a lot. Doing less right now is what is needed, doing a whole lot less. And I felt very overwhelmed the first few weeks of our quarantine, our COVID quarantine, because normally I'm someone who really likes to get myself out there, produce content. I do this vlog series. I'm involved in different social media groups. And I was still involved in my social media groups. And I kept seeing friends of mine, and then people who I'm also inspired by, who aren't, I don't know, constantly producing this content, putting content out. And I was like, are you kidding me? And the interesting thing was, it was even people who I'm close to who were producing things who don't normally produce things, and starting their first YouTube channel. And it was, a lot of it was wonderful stuff, like mindfulness stuff and yoga and connection and curriculum content. I have a lot of friends who are educators, a lot of friends who are yoginis, and spiritual people, and it was great content. And I was just, incredibly amazed by their ability to do that. But it kind of, my perfectionism was like, oh my gosh, I want to be doing things. What should I be doing? It was more, what should I be doing? Because I can do things, so I should. And I was like, okay. I finally was like, oh, hell no. I am full-time teaching from home as an art teacher, even though my school is an independent learning school. So most kids take a lot of their classes at home already. The classes that they take with me on site at the school are studio-based. So, and I'm a project-based learning teacher. So all of my stuff is not meant to do on your own. First of all, it's meant to do with lots of supplies. And second of all, there's a lot of dialogue and engaging and like connecting, and project-based learning is all about like scaffolding little assignments and then giving students a lot of studio time where you're just walking around facilitating their learning and helping them individually with what they need. So that was just like, the rug was just taken out from under me in terms of how, what I do and do so well. And I was called upon to like change all this stuff within like, on one level within a few days. And then on the other level, like, okay, this isn't going to happen. So I just need to do what I can do. And on top of that, I'm homeschooling my daughter for the first time. And I should say, I liked this article where it said, I'll see if I can post it in the comments. We are not homeschooling right now. We are crisis schooling. And there's a big difference between homeschooling and crisis schooling. And it listed all of these ways where, homeschoolers have resources, have studied and gotten, the best things for their kids and have their routines. And we're not doing that. We're crisis schooling. So, and then I had an issue with my, one of my family members had a health issue that we had to deal with, which is all good now, but it was scary. It was my mom. I was far away from her and she had her appendix removed and she's elderly, which is hard for me to even actually accept. I always think she's 44, but she's 75. And she's fine now. She's home and everything's okay. But it was a lot. And I think I had to do a lot of work the past few weeks to allow myself the license to not just not overdo, but not do as my normal, not produce content, not make the most blah, 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 and have that be so okay. So that was the first thing. And then the second thing that has been coming up a lot, both, at my work as an educator and also in the circles of education that I am in, is there's been this seemingly collective response to the situation of schools closing by those who are in administration and the superintendents and the district leaders, to kind of, and I know they're overwhelmed, so I give them a lot of credit and a lot of compassion, and I don't want to be an administrator, but there's this collective response, at least definitely here in America, and I think to some extent the UK, that I'm very connected to those some circles there, because I studied there, that this is a panic, that this is a crisis in terms of like what has to be done. There's this level of panic, and I question whether or not that comes from the focus that has been in education, which is so test driven and so traditionally driven. Textbook, lecture, and textbook, and test, lecture, and textbook, and. So I could go on and on and on about this, but I'm just going to try to end here with a couple of things that I just wish I could, I could whisper and get out, into the small voices and the heads of those in power in education, that we are not on the front lines. We are on the front lines of education, but we are not nurses and doctors. We are not caring for patients who are at high risk of death. We're not. We know as educators how to teach, and we are learning and navigating this new way of interacting with students. And it's okay that we're all navigating this together. And now is not the time for us to learn a million new things of software. And I say that being a visual digital arts educator who has literally 2 decades of experience using digital platforms to teach. While I have a studio-based class, I have also always used Google Classroom, for instance. I have done multiple Zoom things before Zoom became like a household word. And it's not about me personally thinking that we shouldn't be using these fantastic digital platforms. We should be, but not now, or as little and as simple as possible right now, because it's not just that teachers have such a high learning curve to get to. Parents and kids also, with the exception, I would say, of high school students who have already been using some of these platforms in their classes, and just transferring that a little bit more is not a big deal. But outside of those, middle school, from the states I've taught in, Massachusetts, New York State, and now California for the past 6 years, for the most part, middle school and definitely elementary school don't have any experience in this. And I think there's this pressure to like get it all together and get it up and make sure the kids are learning and blah, 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 blah. And that doesn't really take into account that we are in a crisis. And kids at home, we don't know what's going on with them. And they are dealing with a myriad of things that they normally wouldn't be dealing with. And even if they, many of them already have stress and pressure at home from different reasons. So this is just going to exacerbate that, with what their family might be able to do, they might be risking their health. Their parents might be on the front lines. They might be out of work. They might have sick elderly. I mean, there's just, as you all know, a myriad of things. And so I just wish I could help everyone in education, both at the top, all the way down to the teachers and the parents and the students, to take a collective breath. Collective breath. That slowing down is not only legitimate, it's required. It's required in this time. That things like unschooling, which for those of you who don't want to go look that up, and I don't think you need to, unschooling, which is the approach of student interest-driven learning. They want to learn through their video game. They want to learn through helping you, garden or do household activities. They want to learn through spending time on a Zoom chat with their grandparent. That's legitimate. That is not just legitimate. It's, I think, probably what's most required right now in our education, a sort of an embracing of unschooling, and acknowledging that we are collectively getting through this together, one day at a time, in as much community as we can in our own individual situations. And I know a lot of people are already doing this. A lot of people are already, thinking about that. But if you happen to be someone who is either in education and feeling the pressure, or a parent, know that if this is all one day at a time, and we all need to take a collective breath anymore. And you are worthy, and you are loved. And I acknowledge all of you doing the best job that you can under our circumstances. So I'm lovely, and so are all of you. And thanks to all those who've watched my channel. And I'm not sure when I'll be back on again, because I'm doing whatever I can to take care of myself day to day, taking care of my family. And I wish you all well.